So anyways, yeah, we'll get started. My name is Gabriel Lynch, and I'm originally, I was born in Pennsylvania in the U.S., 1976, so I'm 42. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself, like how I got started into all of this natural medicine, plant medicine. I was just a normal kid and everything was fine until about I was 6, 7 years old. And a massive destructive thing happened to my family. My father almost passed away. My mother was very sick. They ended up separating and I went to live with my mother. And when I was living with her, I was very sick all the time, and I was, typical mother, take the Western approach, and she would take me to the doctor, and they would give me lots of antibiotics. But I was sick all the time, and the antibiotics didn't help. I would always get the flu, the cold, whatever, and coughing all the time. So anyways, when I was 13, I went to live with my father. And my father was an herbalist. He didn't take any Western medicine, no pills, anything. He just took herbs. And he told me, well, son, I'm going to help you get better, but you have to fast. So my father, when I was 13, he started putting me on fasts. So I would stop eating. When I felt sick, I would stop eating. And he gave me herbs, he gave me plants, and all of a sudden, my health improved dramatically. So that was the first time I was introduced to natural medicine and natural cures. So a number of years later, I found myself interested in this again. And I decided to take a very extreme approach. This was the mid to late 1990s. And it was the peak of the raw foods movement in California. I ended up in California. And I started doing long fasts and juice fasts and taking lots of herbs to cleanse my body, purgatives. And these purgatives, they were very strong. They would make me go to the bathroom. And I was very amazed at the healing capability of these plants. And what amazed me, what was coming out of my body. So I would be taking just juices, juice fast, that's it. Vegetable juice, sometimes citrus juice. But with these plants, these herbs I was taking, I would go to the toilet and I was filling the toilet up with junk, with stuff. And it smelled, it was terrible. So I thought to myself, well, how could this be? I haven't eaten anything in 2 weeks, and how is the toilet filled up? So I had some revelations there, I had some epiphanies, and I went deeper. I started going into the giant redwood forests in Northern California where the giant sequoia trees are. I was doing long fasts there. So that's how I got started. A number of years later, my mother, she was sick. She was sick with the illness for many years. And in 2004, I got a call that she deteriorated. She was in the hospital, and I had to go back to Pennsylvania to pick her up and take her to my home, where I would take care of her. I was the only child, so it was my duty to take care of her. The social workers were kind of surprised and said, "Oh, you're not going to put her in a home?" I said, "No, I take care of her." So my mother, when she was getting sicker, I happened to be at a friend of mine, a Chinese doctor. I was in his office, and there were a couple guys there drinking tea, and they asked me to sit down with them and talk. And during the conversation, one of the guys said, "Hey, the police came and raided a greenhouse up north. They came and raided this ethnobotanical garden place." And I said, "What were they growing?" Because California, they grow a lot of weed. They grow cannabis. So I said, "Were they growing weed?" And he said, "No, they're growing ayahuasca." And this is, at the time, this was 2006. There was something that you never heard about it. Nobody talked about it. I had read about it in books and stuff, but like the William Burroughs book was the first one in the West that came out with ayahuasca, 1950s. but it was off the radar. But something went off in my head. A light went on, and I found somebody in Peru to send me the ayahuasca vine and the other plant, the chacruna leaf, to cook it together and to drink it. And what happened was my mother, she was pretty sick and we weren't communicating. She wasn't able to talk. And the whole idea behind this was to go and try to connect with my mother and find out what was going on with her. So that night, after I cooked it myself, I went and drank. And my spirit went right up to her and we communicated. And she told me, son, I'm not going to be here anymore, I'm leaving. And at that point I knew, and I cried the whole night. And it was, 2 weeks later, my mother passed away. So to have that intense experience the first time, I decided at that point to leave everything and go and study in the jungle, go and study in the Amazon, and dedicate my time to learning the medicine down there. So I didn't have any ideas to want to heal anybody or become a healer or anything like that, or a teacher. No, my plan at the time was just go into the jungle and study the medicine. So that's a little bit about my background. That's how I ended up in the Amazon. Some of the information I'll give tonight, people may think like, how did this guy, where did he come from? But that's my background. So I started in the jungle, and I did a lot of long plant diets. For those of you that don't know, the Amazonian tradition of natural medicine is based off of, they call it dieting the plants. So the diet is the method of learning, and it's like a contract with the plant. So let's say you want to diet a certain tree like Kumaseba. It's a very nice hardwood tree. It's a strong medicine plant if you want to learn medicine or learn healing. You would diet that Kumaseba tree, you make a contract with it. So for a period of time, you drink the Kumaseba, and you don't eat any salt, and you don't eat any sugar and any spices. You have a very simple, bland diet. So you make a sacrifice to learn. So that's the idea behind the Amazonian tradition, is with the diet, you're making a sacrifice. That is your payment to the plant. And when you give the plant that respect, the plant, as they say, will come and teach you. So that's a little bit about how the learning is accomplished in the Amazon, in the Amazonian traditions. The foundation of everything is plant diets. So it's important to make that distinction, because many people now, with ayahuasca, it's become very famous. And many people think that it's all ayahuasca. But the reality is, in the Amazon, ayahuasca is just one tool. It's just one piece of the puzzle, so to speak. And traditionally, like for healing in the Amazon, we are using a whole variety of other plants. And again, the ayahuasca is just one part of it. So the principal way of learning is the diet. And there's a saying in Peru, they say, la dieta es todo, and that just means the diet is everything. So in the jungle, how does somebody earn their respect? They do a lot of diet. And the local people will say, I have like my people at where I'm at the hot spring, the workers and stuff, they see all of my clients, all of my patients that come in and out. And they see the people that don't really take it seriously, that aren't that committed. They come to the jungle, but for whatever reason, they're scared. They're scared to really open themselves up and get healing and learning, and they kind of hold back. And then you see other ones that really commit themselves, and they go for 3 weeks or a month. And I see my workers, and they say, okay, she's really doing a good job. So they pay attention. This is where they earn the respect. So anyways, moving forward, just want to give a little background on that with the diet. That's the cornerstone of the plant medicine traditions in the Amazon. it's important to understand that in the Amazon, there's not really a distinction between the medicine and the magic. Before the Spanish came and the natives lived as the way they did centuries ago, they used the medicine and the plants. They were not only their medicine, but it was their religion. They were animists, they were naturalists. So they derived all of their knowledge from studying nature. So in this respect, nowadays, people have a little bit of a different view on things. The Westerner, it's kind of like a romantic illusion that it's all medicine. They go to the Amazon. It's all medicina, and a little bit of untrue. It's not so true. When you go to the jungle and you see how life really is, you see that magic is intertwined in the daily lives of the jungle people. So the magic is really more evident than, if you live there, it's more evident than the medicine. And they go hand in hand. So I'll explain a little bit about the magic and how they get this magic. It's a good, what did you say? Excuse me? Yeah, it's a good place to start. So how do they get this magic? When they go into a diet and they make a contract with the plant to diet a certain amount of time, there's usually a petition that's made. And this is very common in other magical practices if you go to throughout the world where magic is still active, Africa or Indonesia. There's a petition that's made. So the person goes to the tree and they say, okay, Kumaseva, I want to learn this. I want to learn how to protect myself. I want to learn how to heal people that have curses put on them. Or it could be the opposite. The magic goes both ways there. It could be bad. The person could go to the tree and say, hey, I know you have a lot of weapons. I want you to teach me how to, how to dominate everybody and control the world. The people do that too. So what are they tapping into? All right, so they start the diet. They're tapping into an energy of the plant, a powerful energy. Some people call it a spirit, but no matter what you call it, there's a powerful energy there. And this energy can be used for good or it can be used for bad. It depends on the intentions of the person. So typically in Peru, there's a lot of people that want to learn quick. So there's a saying, the medicine takes a lot of time. For the people that want to learn the medicine, it's it can take years. Little by little, you do your diets and you suffer and you learn. But the people that want to do the cursing, there's a saying we have, they say, oh, if you want to learn to curse, you can learn really fast. And it's kind of like a trick, a temptation. The person can get this quick power over the common people, something more than an average person would have. They have this power, but guess what? The drawback is it's only used for destructive purposes. So a lot of people, I'm just being frank with you all tonight, I live there. There's a misconception of the jungle and ayahuasca and medicina, that it's all nice. But I'm telling you, it can be, you go into the jungle, it can be like a war zone there. It really can. In terms of cursing, in terms of envy and jealousy, and not even with Peruvians and foreigners that come, just between Peruvians themselves, and especially the natives. So I lived with various native tribes for many years. I lived with the Ashwar, I lived with the Shipibus, the Bora, the Witota. So I know firsthand how they live, and they live in this world of magic and sorcery. And they're always concerned about their enemies putting curses on them, putting sorcery on them, attacking them. And it's something for maybe those of us that maybe we don't believe in it or whatever. I was like that. I didn't really pay attention until I saw how powerful this stuff was, and I saw people's lives destroyed. Yeah. So this, one side of it is we have the destructive, the destructive part of the plant, which people take and use to cause harm. But what happens is this is also helping to create the medicine. So if it wasn't for these bad witch doctors and these black magicians that were trying to put curses on everybody, we wouldn't have the medicine that we do now, and in the Amazon, in the tradition. So what is it that the common healer will learn in the jungle? Well, of course, they're learning to fix organic illnesses, and that's what I studied at first. I studied, fasting, raw foods, purgative plants, to address organic illnesses in the body caused by bad lifestyle, bad diet, anxiety, contamination, bad water, bad air, this type of thing. But I never stopped to think about, what about bad energy? What about like envy, jealousy, the evil eye, curses? I never thought about this until they started coming after me. And it was quite a battle, my friends. I'll tell you, I had some of these nasty witch doctors. They wanted to take me out, and they tried as much as they could, as much as they tried. I was there, I had some help. Some people came to my side, and also a lot of medicine, a lot of diet, and I was able to withstand this, and I was able to pass through these tests and make it to the other side. So I do say that humbly. I've been there. I've been at war, and to come out of that with that knowledge that was given to me because of that process, I'm able to share this with you tonight. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. As much people say, "Oh, that's bad," they put in curses on people. Yeah, it's a mess. It really is. It's a shame. I mean, I have a heart. I have compassion. The world is a suffering place. I think we need more love. We need more medicine. We don't need more destruction, right? And I sometimes say that in the jungle. I look at the jungle. I say, hey, with so much medicine, the jungle is full of medicine. With so much medicine, why do these people? Why do they pick the bad stuff? But the good side of that is, I'll give you an example. The family that lives with me, they're a native family. They've been with me for over 10 years at my farm. Amazing kids, beautiful little girls. They're all doing well. They're all going to school. They're doing good, and they have a lot of love. So they're always under attack, and a lot of times it's their own relatives, their own, brother-in-law or the uncle of so-and-so that doesn't like them, that puts the curse on them. So they've been through the ringer, but now the mother, she started off with me. I started teaching her about 6 years ago, and now this woman, she's doing a lot of diets, and she's actually learning the medicine, and maybe in the future she could become a curandera. She's already on that road to become a curandera. So this is something else, just so you know, I see this happening. As a result of all the negativity, you have something very positive coming out of that as well. Yeah. So what I'll do is, I want to talk about one more thing, and we'll take some questions. Is that okay? So so with the magic, like what's some of the stuff they do? We can apply, for example, the protection work that I do. The protection work in the case of the jungle is, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is you have a nasty witch doctor coming after you that wants to he's sending all of his demons after you and trying to kill you. Fortunately here, you people don't really have that much with that to worry about. But what do you have to be concerned about? I'm here, I'm in Israel, I'm seeing the place. It's very intense. It's very extreme. There's a lot of extreme energies running around here, old energies, positive and negative, and there's a whole lot of chaos. There's a whole lot of chaos energy. And I notice the energy here is something that wants to kind of like, if you let it, if you're not protected, it can take your energy. It can drain you. I run into a lot of people the last few weeks since I've been here doing consultation and stuff, and people, they're just tired, they're weak, they feel very sensitive, they feel like the anxiety and the bad coworker or the bad boss is really affecting them, and they get a lot of anxiety. So in terms of the magic of the Amazon, applying it here for you people, this protection work that we do is also very effective in these situations. I've done a lot of this, and I've gotten great results where people need protection in their daily life. They need protection from toxic people, the anxiety of the world. We just aren't given this type of instruction in life. We grow up and we're just taught to deal with it however we can. And this energy ends up in us and we don't know how to get rid of it. It builds up, it accumulates. And what happens is then the person will get sick. When there's too much of this toxicity in them, it could be energetic, emotional, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. It builds up, people start to get sick. So I notice the work we do is a lot of cleansing. It's a lot of purgatives. We do a lot of, going vomit agents, make you throw up, and also going out the backside, baths to start to clean the person's energy. And what we do is, with this work, is we clean the person out, and then we give them some other plants to really protect them. And during this process, it's a whole process they go through. They release all of this tension and anxiety. I've seen people release stuff they've held for 10, 20 years. I've seen old memories come out, stuff people have not thought about since they were little children. So it's like a decompression. The stuff starts to come out, it goes out, and then the person feels much lighter. They feel clean inside. And then we go work on the protection. And I say it's something very important in this world today, especially here in Israel. You want to have good protection. You want to be good to yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Don't abuse yourself. Don't take too much of something that's going to hurt you. Everything in moderation. And also people, don't let yourself get caught up in the emotional triggers. I noticed I was working with a gentleman who many years is married, is like almost 40 years he's married, and he has a lot of anxiety from here in Israel. And he came to see me and we were talking about it, and I told him, hey, we did some work and he got some good results. And I told him, now when you go back, I understand how it is at your house. You have this dynamic with your wife, and they start blah, 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 and the other one, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, it's a trigger. It's a trigger, and they lose control. It's an automatic response, an automatic reflex. And all of a sudden, they're getting angry and having an argument. And the anxiety comes out. So it's also learning to change our behaviors. The plant medicine can teach us that. When we take the time, when somebody decides and commits to do a diet, to do healing, it's a whole process of decompression. It's a process of cleansing, and it's also a process of putting yourself back together. And putting every diet you do, you put yourself back together a little bit better. You make yourself a little bit stronger. So that's in essence some of the work we do in respect to protection and how that translates to you in the modern world. So maybe we could take some questions. I know there's probably a lot of questions. Yeah.
Well, there are actually people believe in the evil eye.
Excuse me, could you come up? Can you come up a little bit?
Speak louder.
Yeah.
People here believe a lot in the evil eye.
Yeah, the evil eye. Evil eye.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people treat it in a way or know how to and defy it. So how can you tell if someone is someone cares from someone or what's happening?
Yeah. Well, okay. Good question. Yeah. Okay. So the evil eye. The evil eye, yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, he asked about there's a lot of concern here about the evil eye, and he's asking, how can you tell? How can you tell, is it an evil eye, or if it's a curse, or whatever? Yeah. So let me give you the difference. The evil eye is somebody that's envious of you, somebody that's jealous of you, whatever it may be. It may be you have a nice job, or nicer job than them, or you may have a child, or what they don't. See that a lot. Whatever it may be, they're envious, and they think about you. Yeah, they're like a fan. You know, you have fans. They're like your fan, and they're always thinking, but they're not thinking good stuff. They're thinking, they hate. They end up hating you, and that has a power, my friends. It does. There's things you can do to protect yourself, but it does have a power. And if the person is very weak, just the evil eye can make them sick. So if the person already have some health problems, and they have maybe not just one person, but a couple of envious people sending them the evil eye, it could make them sick. And this is very common with children. So many times in life, children bear the brunt of, children pay for their parents' mistakes and vice versa. And this is very common in the jungle as well. If there's an attack, if there's, the witch doctor is coming after the family, well, they don't care if they get the parents. They'll go after the weakest link, so they'll go after the kids. And the little kids are particularly susceptible to the evil eye. So what's the difference? Continuing with your question, what's the difference between the evil eye and a curse? So a curse is done by someone that has skill. A curse is something that has been amplified. You see what I'm saying? So the evil eye by itself is just that bad intention. It's an envy, a jealousy, and a hatred that is sent to the person, but it hasn't been amplified yet. So it'd be similar to me talking without the microphone, and now I have the microphone, and it's amplified, so it's much stronger. In the jungle, how do they do it? To do curses, they get the power from the trees, and they also link up. They do conjuring through ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a portal to the spirit world, and they will go in to the visionary journey with ayahuasca. They will go into the spirit world and find malevolent spirits or demons or whatever bad guys that they can run into and put them to work. That's what they do. So they will send that to the person, and that can be very, very destructive, very dangerous. I've seen people die. So typically, to answer your question, what's the difference and how would you feel? How do you know?
How would you know?
Yeah, how would you know? Okay, how would I know? Okay, yeah, so it's common. It's a common thing. I get this, especially with the Peruvians. Once in a while with a foreigner. Typically, and again, going back to ayahuasca in this case and traditionally was used as a diagnostic tool. So the person would come to me and they're sick and they say, okay, take a look at me. When are you going to drink? It's very common. They ask me, what are you drinking tonight? Are you going to drink ayahuasca? So I say, yeah, come. And I will drink ayahuasca, not them. I will drink ayahuasca. And in the Mardiación, or the visionary journey of the ayahuasca, I will be able to see. I will be able to see. If it's very dark, nasty energy, if there's demons there, I'll see them. Because I know how it is normally, and I know how it is when there's a curse. I have a perspective and a vantage point of how it should be normally when everything's clean and when the person is sick. And also sometimes I can just feel it. I don't need to really drink ayahuasca all the time to see that. People will come to me and I'll know right away. I'll just feel it. I get a feeling in my stomach. Yeah. So, anything else? The question? Is that it? Did I answer?
And how do you get that to go away?
What's that?
Like when you encounter that dark energy, how do you clean it away?
How do I see it?
How do you clean it?
Oh, how do you clean it? Okay. So, depending on how bad it is, and I will elaborate there for you, with cursing, when a curse is put on someone, when it's recent, it's much easier to fix. So you could fix it maybe in one night or a period of 2 or 3 days, and it's usually no problem when it's fresh. But sometimes I'll get somebody that's had a curse on them for years, and it'll burrow into the body. It becomes, how could you say, almost part of the person. Yeah, and that can take a real process of maybe 2 weeks or a month, sometimes more, to get them better. And typically, what do we do? So for me personally, I will do healings with them. But first, before I get with ayahuasca, before I start doing the healings in the ceremony, in the ritual of ayahuasca, I will put them through a preparatory process. So I will give them certain plants to start to clean out and loosen things up. I will give them plant baths, and the person will start to be opening up, and then usually I'll go in there and do a heavy cleaning during the ceremony. Yeah. So as I said, usually it's a lot easier if it's the initial stages, if it's recent. But if it's more an older case where it's been years and years, the person's suffering, it can take longer. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One is within your system or the traditional system.
Yeah.
What part do magic mushroom play? Like what force do they represent? What function do they have in the traditional or either in your experience?
Okay. So. Well, magic mushrooms, they're teacher plants, but they aren't so active in the Peruvian Amazon.
Yeah.
We have them there, but the natives, the locals, don't utilize them. The main 2 plants they utilize in Peru, you have the ayahuasca from the jungle, and then you have the San Pedro cactus from the coast and from the mountain area. The magic mushrooms are more traditionally used in Mexico. And I personally worked with them about 15 years ago. Yeah, and they can be very good for treating certain mental illnesses. And there's a recent thing that the medical doctors did, I think in the UK, where they did people that were not responding to depression patients that were not responding to any type of treatment. They gave them the psilocybin from the mushroom, and they were getting better. They were getting restarted, rebooted, and coming out of their depression. So there's a whole place opening up there with magic mushrooms of doing microdosing, small amounts, and for depression and for anxiety and for other emotional issues. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. I think people can get real good healing from magic mushrooms. But to answer your question, unfortunately, in the Peruvian traditions, they're not really used.
Well, the second question is just a very small one. Just if you noticed here in particular, or just in general in Western society, if we use certain plants, not psychoactive, just normal plants that have a lot of power and we don't realize it. Is there something we should or shouldn't eat or something like that in terms of effects?
Interesting. There's a whole disconnect there. It's very unfortunate, and it's a good example that this knowledge is being lost, my friends. The traditional herbal medicines, and especially the way they were before, where they were like the Amazonian tradition, intertwined with magic. They had normal functioning properties for herbs, and as well as the magical properties, what these herbs were good for on a spiritual level. And a lot of this in the West has been lost. There's been a complete disconnect because of religion. Religion has really tried to knock down this type of knowledge. Magic and sorcery, they put it out there as it's the devil, and it's bad, and it's all bad. But why? Because this stuff is very empowering. We learn to develop power from it, power to control our destiny. Not power over other people, but power to create the life we want and do the things we want to do, and more of a direct connection with nature and with the higher power. Whereas religion serves as many times as an intermediary, and we have to go to the temple or the mosque or the church or whatever and they have to communicate with the higher power. We can't communicate directly. So over the last few centuries, it's been a lot of the stuff in the Western world has been lost. Yeah, fortunately it's still active in Peru, but it's dying as well. It's come down a lot with missionaries. They took it down a lot, and now with technology, with cell phones and iPhones and WhatsApp and Facebook, even the little jungle kids, they want a laptop. They want to go out of the jungle. They want to forget their culture and forget their tradition and then go to the city and just get a job. So it's very unfortunate. Yeah.
Do you have any experience with PTSD, with post-trauma? And then how long, how much time should a person devote?
Yeah, PTSD depends how extreme it is, but we've gotten a few cases, some good results. Yeah, but it does take more time, like a month or something. Go through a process and get this stuff out and release, and a lot of traumas in there, And then this is a big part of the medicine. People, obviously PTSD is a more extreme case. But people develop throughout their lives. It's like an accumulation of toxic junk. And I make the analogy that, at our home, we're going to take the trash out. The kitchen garbage, we will take that out and every week. But why is it we don't do that in our bodies, in our lives? We develop this emotional and the traumas, and they start to just pile on top of each other and fill up the closet. And then we have no way to get it out, because guess what? Nobody ever taught us. Nobody ever taught us how to release this stuff. So yeah, natural medicine is a great way to do it, great tool, because you are involving yourself. All right, this is the fundamental difference between the Western approaches, the Occidental approaches in medicine, and natural medicine. Natural medicine, there's no magic pill. You have to do work. You have to commit yourself to a healing process. You have to want it. If you just come and say, yeah, give me this here, I'm going to just take that, and I just want to get better. No, you have to involve yourself in the process. You have to make a very serious commitment. And I will say this, most of the people that come to me from Israel are very committed. I see there's a lot of healing that needs to be done here. A lot of people that need healing, and a lot of these people are coming to me, and they make a great effort. Just once in a while I get a random person that's not really able to commit themselves for whatever reason, but the majority of the people are very committed, and that's a fundamental thing. Yeah. So next question.
I was wondering, is there any connection to which organ is affected? Like, for example, in the Ayurveda, in Eastern medicine, like when some organ is infected,
Yeah.
there's a certain energy. Like, for example, the belly is connected to the spirit. So, like, just continuing when you ask about when somebody curses you.
Yeah.
Is there, like, in the Peruvian and the Amazon tradition, some organs that should be infected when it comes from outside the world?
Yeah, good question. Interesting question. In the Peruvian tradition, they're not really looking at the organ systems the way the Chinese or the Ayurvedics would, the Indians. They definitely have a more advanced. The Indians and the Chinese, they have very advanced old systems. And so the Peruvians, they're not really looking at the specific organs, but they know where the energy goes. So they know, and it's very common, just a common side effect of a curse. If it's a strong curse, the person will many times feel dizzy in the head. So the curse could go to the head, and they could feel really dizzy. I've seen this where people were so dizzy they just end up passing out. They faint or something when it's very extreme. And also it's typical, it will go to the chest area, the lower abdomen. It'll go to the organs. Not so, can't really tell you in particular which organ, but the stomach area, the abdomen area in general, it'll go there and you'll feel it. And I've experienced this personally, so I can tell you, it's kind of like the worst day of your life. You feel something's terribly wrong. but you have no physical, how can you say, like sick symptoms, like you like fever or anything like that, but you feel in your body a tightness and a pain, but it's not in one particular place. And it's a very heavy feeling in your stomach area, and you lose your appetite, and it's very common. These people will not eat. They'll go a couple of days. This happened to me once when I had an enemy that was bothering me a lot. There was 1 week I pretty much didn't eat anything. I just automatically reverted to fasting to protect myself, and I had to continue to do the work, and it took about a week to get this off of me. And after about 6 days, that's when I started to eat food again, just a little bit of food. So these are common side effects, to answer your question, where the energy would go. It's very typical in the abdomen and also the head. Okay, any other question?
Yeah, about the petition, so with the master plants and diet. I want to ask if when you do this petition, when you come to the diet, do you shoot for what you know the quality of the plant is, or you ask for the thing you came from without knowing exactly what's the qualities of the plant?
Yeah, well, the best way to do it is to find the plant that will have the qualities that you're looking for. So it's kind of, can you say, making it a more perfect fit. So obviously you won't get the same result if you're, let's say, for example, the person has arthritis. So in the jungle we have, let's say, Rinakija is a plant. It's a strangler fig, and this one is really good for certain types of arthritis. All right, so if the person would come and they make the petition to the Rinakija and they diet the Rinakija, yeah, it makes a really good fit. Good chance they're going to see an improvement. But if they were to, let's say, go and pick the wrong plant, as much as they make the petition, they're not going to be able to get, you see what I'm saying? If they were to diet, let's say, Pignon is not good it's not good at all for arthritis. So much better option would be Rinakija. So it's very important to know the plants that you're dieting, to know what properties they have, what they serve for in terms of healing and all that. Yeah. I'm sorry, could you speak up a little bit?
My first question concerns the medicinal plants you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
My question is, are these plants to be found somewhere else, like say in the Middle East or in Europe, or do we particularly be in Peru or South America to get access to them?
Okay, so yes, so she's basically asking the plants that are found in the Amazon, are these available in other places, the Middle East, over here, or Europe, wherever. Some of them are, but generally speaking, for the most part, no. Most of the plants I work with are Amazonian plants now. But with that in mind, the way that we are teaching, we encourage people, we encourage our students to, when they come and learn from us, to then apply this knowledge to wherever they may be. So it's very important to get to know the medicinal plants in your place, where you live. Just the last couple of weeks here in Israel, I've run into a bunch of medicinal plants. So there are a lot of medicinal plants and herbs here. And I encourage everyone that's interested in natural medicine to start to study it and learn about the local plants and learn to use them for your benefit. Absolutely. So, yeah, but you're not going to find a lot of fresh growing Amazonian plants outside of the Amazon. Just a few.
Yeah, I just have one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, medicinal plants from like in this area.
It doesn't have to be like in general.
Oh yeah, medicinal plants in general. Yeah, I have a few references I could give you. Just go ahead and contact me. Yeah, and I can send you. Just send me a message, and I can give you a few references. Absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
This area?
I have a couple of friends that are working on that. They've sent me some PDF copies of the local plants and the scientific names and what some of their uses are for. So I'm working on this. I'm trying to compile it. I'm trying to connect with herbalists here in Israel for me to understand the plants that are available here as well, to give people recommendations just from here.
You should check out garlic.
Huh?
Garlic.
Garlic.
I use it for very lot.
Oh, garlic?
Garlic.
Yeah. We have in the jungle, we have 3 types of garlic. We have a jungle vine. It's a vine that grows up in the tree, and it's called Ayahuasca. And then we have another garlic. It's a little plant about this big, and it's like the baby garlic, but it's a root. It's a root. It's very spicy and it burns. When you drink it, it burns. And then the last garlic we have is it's a tree. It's a garlic tree. I'm not kidding you. I mean, who would have thought this up? But it's funny you mentioned garlic because you hear in the old European stories about vampires and ghosts and negative spirits and stuff, and how they always wore garlic and onions around them, and they would put onion and garlic in the front of their house and stuff. And I'll tell you what, people, this is the exact same thing we use the Ayahuasca, the jungle garlic. It's the exact same thing we use it for in the jungle. We use those garlics for protection and for purging, and also just another thing, learning to hunt. They use it for hunting magic. So the idea is the garlic will hide your smell from the animals. It will hide your smell, and then the animals won't see you, so then you can go hunt them. And I'll tell you, I was in a deep jungle once. I was dieting Ayahuasca, and I had a giant wild boars come right up to me. Where I was in the morning, I was just sitting there, and the boars, they didn't even see me. They came right up, just right to here, and then they looked up, and then they took off. So,
What animal was it?
Sahina. It's like a wild jungle boar. Boar, that pig. Yeah, like a wild pig. Yeah.
What question what is the meaning of activity of the group today?
Oh yeah, so doing the diet.
Yeah.
When you're taking the plants, you do the diet. It's advisable. You can get out, but it's not good to be talking too much. It's not to be hanging out with other people. No, this is a time for you to learn, and a time for you to go through a process. So it's best alone in your little hut, and also good to have a notebook where you can write your thoughts, and if you want to draw or something like that. But not so good to have books. So during this time when you do the diet, I recommend to my people, if you want to go more serious diet, you don't want to take books, because the books, it's information coming in, and you're going through a detox process, you're trying to get stuff out. So that can be a little conflict. Where we're at, we have the hot spring river there, so people go in the hot water in the early morning, they'll go bathe, they'll lay in the mud. We have a nice mud there as well for mud bath. And then maybe in the afternoon they go and go to the water again, or they go to the cold water. So it's a time of rest and relaxation. It's not good to do a lot of heavy physical activity. So if the person wanted to do a light exercise or go walking in the shade, the sun is not too good either. But going in the shade, take a little walk in the jungle, or go for a swim, or do yoga, or meditation, or Tai Chi, something light. Yeah, but really heavy exertion, no, it's not so good.
Hi, with the quick question, from my experience and from my colleagues, Ayahuasca became a very good business, and some people only taking, as we could say, tourist doses, and they don't really connect with the essence of the plant. they just want to use it as self-esteem. Do you think that we as a Westerner can still preserve the essence of the jungle?
Good question. Thank you. The gentleman's question brings something to point. Yeah, there's ayahuasca has become very famous. It's in the light, and it's also, as a result, it's become more commercialized. And you have a lot of people that are, just here in Israel, there's a lot of people working with ayahuasca that doing it differently. They're not doing it traditionally, and I think that in some cases, the serious nature of ayahuasca is being misunderstood. They're not respecting it the way they should. They're not taking it so seriously. They're using it as more of a natural drug or something, and it's a problem. Ayahuasca, again, it can be an amazing tool, but it can also, if it's used in the wrong way, it can be destructive. And I've seen people mentally misuse ayahuasca. I've seen people take too much, take large doses, take all the time, 2-3 times a week, and sometimes they go crazy. So when it's misused, it's very dangerous, and I actually encourage people not to take this stuff very seriously. Plant medicine in general is serious stuff. There's a movement from synthetic drugs to natural alternatives. So people that are taking ecstasy and LSD and cocaine and things like that realize that these are really destructive. So they say to themselves, well, maybe if I take mushrooms or ayahuasca or San Pedro, it's natural, so it won't affect me the same way. But they're still misusing it. And they can have very powerful repercussions. I've seen people get very sick. I've seen people almost die. A couple have died. So it's not something to be taken lightly. It's not something to dabble in. But with that in mind, the last part of your question, my friend, I do see some serious Westerners that in Peru, not a lot, but there's a few that come and stay, and they'll stay for a year, they'll stay for 2 years and do diets and really take it seriously and do it the right way. And I think it's something that too many people are jumping into quickly. So for myself, I was, it was never my intention to be a healer, to be a teacher. But after 20-something years, people ask me, and I was obligated, and it was actually good because I prefer to be by myself. I would love to just be in the jungle by myself. It's my favorite thing. But I know there's sick people out there, and I know what else is out there in the medicine world in Peru. And there's a lot of commercialism. There's a lot of people that are just in it to make a quick money, and they have no training. They have no history of study. They don't have years of study. This stuff takes years. So I see this as well, the young, energetic people that just are getting started out with natural medicine or ayahuasca, your question, and they start drinking, and then all of a sudden they want to run ceremonies or do circles or whatever. And no, they shouldn't do that. They should take the time, a number of years, to slowly go with the medicine and slowly learn from it with respect.
Do you think it's possible to take your methods or the Peruvian study methods and apply them to study the local medicinal plants?
There are some people doing that, my friend. They've learned the Peruvian tradition of dieting the plants, and then they come back here and they diet, like the olive tree, and they diet some of the local trees, the local old oaks, and some of the other medicinal plants or power plants that they have here. Absolutely, there are some people doing that, and they've been getting good results. I'm in touch with them, and I hear good things. So basically, and I get this question a lot, like, well, if I'm here, and it relates to the other lady's question about the Amazonian plants, and we're here, on the other side of the world, and it's not so available. So what can we do? And that's why I always encourage people to look to their local plants and get in touch with them, diet them, learn about them, find somebody that can help them identify them in the field, and go and wild forage them, and learn to use the plants there. I think it's one of the most powerful things you can do, because this is your place. You see what I'm saying? This is your home place. So you have a deep connection here. So it's very, very good idea. Okay. Any other question?
I want to ask about, you were speaking about using diet and ayahuasca in order to deal with health issues, and in order to deal with like black magic and stuff like this, to protect from it.
Yeah, protection.
And I wonder, I'm sure that, me personally, and I'm sure also you, and a lot of people use it in order for spiritual transformation.
Yes.
So I wanted to hear your perspective about how working with diets and ayahuasca for that, in order to go through spiritual transformation.
Yeah, so this is what most people come for. People are looking to get better. There's unfortunately there's only a little bit of help with the approaches that we have, the Western approaches. So people are looking for something that's more dynamic, something that can get in there and take, as we talked about before, the garbage that accumulates inside of us. So this is the typical protocol that we use is a purgative protocol at first for the person. So they want to go through healing. They want to shed their old skin, so to speak. So they start to take plants that will push all the junk out. They start to take these plants, and then the junk start to go. They start to go to the toilet, or maybe have to throw up, or sweating. They'll have a cleansing reaction. They'll have a cleansing response. You'll actually see the reaction, and we always look for that. That's one of the first things we look for when we start somebody to get the reaction. And then once we get the reaction, we know we're going somewhere. So it gives us it's a good indicator. So as the person starts to clean all this junk out, they start to feel a lot lighter, and then they open themselves up to the ability to really let go of old habits, to let go of negative thoughts, negative feelings that have held them back. And in that respect, the medicine, I explain it to people all the time, is like a mirror. When you go with a humble heart, and you really want to heal, you set your ego aside, you're willing to sit down and do the work, you knock on the door, and it will be open to you. That's how natural medicine works. That's how nature works. Nature is our friend. Unfortunately, as human beings, we kind of we abuse nature. We destroy a lot of nature. But when the person comes, in this situation, somebody that's going to diet a plant, they're basically going to nature and they're saying, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I apologize, humans are really mistreating you. Can you help me? Can you help me get better? And in that case, nature is a very, it's like a very forgiving mother. She will come and take you into her arms, and she will give you healing. She will give you a spiritual transformation. Absolutely. So it's not just you taking the plant. It's also you being able to open up to the process, being able to open up and release all the old junk and start fresh. So the people that I see that come to me that have a tremendous success, those are the ones that they just are ready. They've had enough. They're tired of the life that they lived. They're tired of, as the saying goes, tired of being sick and tired, and they want to make a change. So they have to have a certain level of commitment. And another thing is, just to shed light on that, it's a good idea for the person to have some type of spiritual or religious or whatever foundation. So the people that I see do really well, they've done meditation, or they've done yoga, or they have some type of spiritual practice where they're studying something and they're taking their time with something, delving deeper into themselves, delving deeper. Because when I get somebody that's just fresh out of the city, that really has no idea about this, and I get these people, and a lot of times I turn them down. You know, they have cancer or something, and they want to just, from Tel Aviv, come to the jungle, and it's too much of a shock. So there is a prerequisite there. The people that really do the best with this stuff already are getting in tune with it beforehand. They feel it, it's calling them. They feel there's a connection there. All right, so last question.
Can you talk a little bit about Wankawa and maybe the opportunity to meet it here?
Yeah, Ari, you know what, if you want to talk, I'll let you're a better talker of this stuff than me.
I got the question, okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's see if anyone else has another question.
Yeah, so last question, we wrap it up. Hold on, I get this. Yeah.
Can the ayahuasca gives you an advice to do something, not to do something?
You know what, it can. It's a good question because there's a little bit of misunderstanding with that, and you hear it a lot. And somebody had recently asked me to explain this, so it's a good chance to explain. You hear this a lot. You hear it when somebody drinks ayahuasca. They will say, well, ayahuasca told me to do this, and ayahuasca told me to do that. And sometimes I listen to the person, and it sounds like a good idea, what they want to do, their plan. But then other times, quite frankly, it sounds like a disaster. It sounds like they've totally lost their mind. So I think in the beginning, people get a little bit over-enthusiastic with the whole idea of drinking ayahuasca to find out if they should do something or not do something, because there's a prerequisite there. The person, in order to really have a good vision, it can take time. You have to drink ayahuasca many, many times. And in the Peruvian tradition, you have to diet many diets until your vision is clean enough that you have a clear vision and you can see exactly what it is you should do or not. So I think in the beginning, a lot of people make the mistake, and I hear it all the time, like, my ayahuasca told me to do this and do that. So I think that could be an error. It's a little bit tricky there. But I think it's tapping in. What ayahuasca does is also tapping into the intuition of the person. So it can be used to cultivate that intuition. So if somebody already feels like, hey, my intuition, if somebody's a natural, they have a good intuition, if they were to drink ayahuasca, their intuition would get much better, and they would develop their psychic vision, they would develop a deeper vision, and be able to see many things that the average person couldn't see. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, my friend, last question. Jeff? Okay, so we wrap it up. Yeah, just let my friend Ari, who's filming, he wanted to talk a minute about next week. We're doing a couple days of healing work here before I leave Israel. We'll be doing some working with a couple plants. A plant I brought from Peru, a purgative plant. So it would be a good opportunity for you guys to, if anybody's interested. But I'll let Ari explain it because I'm kind of tired of talking.